Well, hello to everybody here. My name is Teresa Sanderson. Super excited to connect with you today for another episode of the Nurse Entrepreneur Spotlight. And our guest today is Eva ZobianWolf of Eva Z Wellness. Eva, I want to take this opportunity to just welcome you and thank you for sharing some time with me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So, for those of you who don't know Eva has been a nurse for 17 years. She worked in the ICU for 10 of those years. She is also a holistic health coach, a Reiki master, and a brain health certified coach, as well as a yoga therapist. Now, if that's a term you haven't heard before, know that you and I are in the same boat. But when I met Eva, I got to learn all about that. So Eva works with adaptive cycling nonprofits to assist veterans and first responders with PTSD. She works with nurses to reduce the effects of stress, exhaustion, and burnout. And she has courses, online programs, and works with clients privately as well. So I want to thank you again, Eva, for joining us. Welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm excited. This is cool.
Cool deal. So tell us a little bit, it sounds like you've been a nurse for, a few years and you've worked some in the ICU. Tell us about, the time you spent as a nurse and kind of what drew you to go into nursing and a little more about your nursing background.
I worked in the hospital for about 7 years as a phlebotomist before I went into nursing school. And it was just something that I wanted to do to expand on my ability to be able to help people, to expand on my career, have that financial independence. But it was also one of those I can go anywhere and do anything type jobs. And that was what really drew me to it, that I could go, I could be helpful, but I also get to have that independence of, do I want to work with children? Do I want to work with adults? Do I want to work in Hawaii? Do I want to work in the snow? Answer is no to snow. But then, of course, life has its way of putting you somewhere that you're supposed to be without you even knowing it. And we ended up in Texas. And that's when I made the switch into ICU.
Okay.
And worked in a very busy, very expansive hospital that we had 5 ICUs, 6 by the time I left. We had 5 ICUs, the neuro, the cardio, the
Oh,
surgical,
man.
medical, surgical. And because I worked in the medical and the medical surgical ICUs, we had to know everything. We had to know a little bit about everything.
Yep.
And so, I was stroke certified. We did all of the CRRT. We did the vents. We did the hypothermic protocol. We did everything.
Wow. All right. So it sounds like a very diverse,
Yeah,
fast-paced,
it was, yes, very
probably
diverse.
adrenaline rushing kind of environment and experience for sure.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
man. So, all right. So now that we know a little bit about your nursing background, tell us now, what drew you then after working as a nurse and in healthcare all those years, what drew you to say, I think I might like to hang out my own shingle. I think I might like to have my own business and kind of let go of the side of the pool. What prompted you to take that action?
Well, I kind of took a little bit of I'm at a crossroads. What do I do?
Okay.
I need more. And it was one of those things where I was very content and happy in my job, but I needed to do more, to be more helpful outside of work. And at that point, I had decided I really want to become a yoga teacher. It's something that I had wanted to do for many, many years. I have scoliosis. I have days where I can touch my toes and days where I can't touch my toes. It just depends on how my body, what my body has been through the few days
Mhm.
before that. And I found a yoga teacher that was teaching adaptive yoga, which means that anybody can do this yoga.
Okay.
Regardless of whether you're fully capable in your body, where you have access to all of your faculties in your body, or whether you don't.
Hmm.
And at the same time that I found this lady, I also was really fortunate in finding this particular nonprofit that works with veterans and first responders working through PTSD. And they were looking for medical volunteers. And so this all happened at the exact same time,
Hmm.
within weeks of each other.
Wow.
And so I started that journey. And when that happened, it opened up so much more in me. And I was seeing how, when I started as a yoga teacher and I started working with clients individually, I started seeing what I was hoping to be able to do with my patients in the ICU. I
Hmm.
was seeing multiple steps before that, to where if just simple changes were made in your life,
Hmm.
how it could potentially change the trajectory of what happens further on down in somebody's health. So,
Wow.
and not just them, but hopefully their family as well too.
I love that. I love that. So it sounds like, a volunteer experience just kind of led you, you found a whole lot of goodness in that experience and found a way to grow yourself that maybe you hadn't even imagined, I think.
Not even.
Wow. Wow.
It was just
Okay.
it was amazing. At one point, my I progressively switched from full time to part time to PRN, and it
Wow.
was when I made that transition that
Mhm.
I really started to see. That's when I really started to see when stress was affecting me.
Wow. Wow. That is such a great truth right there that I think if we never have the time to pause, we may never see it.
Yes,
You
yes,
know,
and
we may never.
it was a conversation that I had with my youngest son, and it still, I remember it vividly. Yeah, I was packing up my lunch, getting ready to go in for the night shift, and
Mhm.
it was towards the end of me working in the hospital, and I was working maybe one day a week, 1 or 2 days a week, and I'm getting ready for work, and my son looks at me and goes, "You're always so happy now that you don't work as much. You're always smiling."
Hmm.
And all
Imagine
I could,
that.
yeah, and all I could think of was, who was I before?
Yeah. Wow. Wow. So profound. I love hearing that. So, all right. So this kind of, it sounds like it just kind of not necessarily snuck up on you, but crept up on you over time. Okay. And you just began pursuing something different. I love that. So, and I know that you and I have had the opportunity to work together in the last year, in the process of you becoming now an approved nursing CE provider. So I am so excited. And I just would love to hear, you have such a unique specialty and a unique business. How do you plan on using nursing CE to help nurses and to improve patient outcomes? What are your thoughts and what are your plans there?
There's so much that I wish all of us in the medical field were able to see and grasp, that I think just doesn't fully expanded on in our learning programs.
Hmm.
Everybody says, make sure you eat healthy, make sure you do something,
Hmm.
you do have a hobby outside of work to maintain your sanity. But I don't think they expand on it enough in terms of what happens when that doesn't happen? Or how do you know when what you're doing isn't enough? And
Mm-hmm.
so having courses that bring in and the pause so that you
Mm-hmm.
have that moment to see, where am I in my body? How much stress am I holding in my body? What does it feel like when I take a moment to breathe and just release a little bit of that stress? What does that feel like in my body?
Mm-hmm.
um, what does it feel like when, how do I know when stress has overtaken me, the real me, the authentic me, and
Mm-hmm.
in, and I'm reacting as my stress personality instead of the authentic me?
Mm-hmm.
And how is that affecting my relationships with my family, my friends, my coworkers, and my patients?
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. So it sounds like you're really going to go after using nursing continuing education in a way to empower nurses to better manage the stress that they encounter in their lives and maybe even in their work, right? Oh, I
Yes, yes.
absolutely, I absolutely love that. And I'm sure we've talked about this at some point, that I'm a major depression thriver. And I did have that experience of true clinical depression taking me out of the workforce for 3 years, largely stress induced, right? And, but I just think the one thing I would want every nurse to know is you don't have to go down that road. And it's so important to take the steps now. Recovery is brutal. Recovery is brutal. It's better to be proactive and get in front of that thing.
Yes. And, everybody thinks that you step away from the bedside, you take a week vacation. I've been away from the bedside for 3 years. Of course, we also had a pandemic in the middle of it. Um,
There
that's
is
not
that.
stressful at all, you
Right.
know. Um,
Oh,
uh, I talk with nurses that have been retired for many years, and they, after working with me for a short time, they say, I thought I was relaxed, but I didn't realize how much stress was still affecting me until I started working with you.
mhm.
And
Wow.
it's not a linear process, because there's always stress in life, and it's, how are we managing it? How are we dealing with it? How are we avoiding it?
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. Indeed. I love this. Well, I know that you're going to make a massive difference in the health and wellness of nurses. And I'm so excited to have been a part of that. So I want to just ask you a little bit, because a lot of people get my done for you CE application service. And that's what you did. You just said, hey, Teresa, I want to press the easy button. I want you to do this thing for me. I would like to be a nursing CE provider. Can you get it done? What was that process like for you? What did you, was it as easy as you thought it would be? What would you say?
It was, honestly, it was a breath of fresh air. It was a weight off of my shoulders. I have been looking for you for years, because this is something that I have been wanting to do for many, many years. And going through the process of trying to figure this out on my own, I asked numerous people, and nobody had any idea how to do it if you weren't in a hospital setting.
Yep.
So being able to have you do it for me was just so amazing. It was, honestly, it was a giant weight off of my shoulders. It allowed me to breathe so that
Love
I
it.
could focus on other things while this was happening in the background.
Mhm.
And it was, yeah, it was just amazing. So I can't, honestly, it happened so seamlessly that it almost
Good.
felt unreal.
I love that. I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, because I think a lot of people just can't imagine. And somebody asked me the other day, so it was a great question to get. Is it legal for me to hire you to do this application for me? And I said, well, it's no different than you hiring a tax accountant or an attorney, or, I'm a consultant. I help you do this thing. But it was just such a great question, because I think in nursing, we wonder, surely, and the entrepreneurial space is so different for nurses. So, we're so busy worrying about protecting our license that we can hold ourselves up in, just getting things done through other people, which is part of now being a business owner instead of being that employee. So it's just a different thing. But yeah, well, I am just honored and blessed to have been a part of your journey to get that done. So love, love, love what you're going to do with it. I can't wait to watch your business bloom. One thing I want to ask you before we move on is, Eva, what is the one piece of advice that you would give that aspiring nurse entrepreneur, the nurse who's probably working at the bedside today and in the back of his or her mind is thinking, I'm going to have to work this weekend. I'm going to miss out on my children's XYZ event. My vacation may not be approved this year. I'm supposed to have Sunday off, but I know somebody's already out sick, so I'm probably going to be called or asked to work on Sunday. What would you say to that nurse who's thinking of being an entrepreneur?
Oh my gosh, do it. Just freaking do it. Because the thing is, that weight that is sitting on your shoulders all the time when you're not at work, it's affecting your health. It's affecting your relationships. It's affecting your ability to actually be you. And if there's something that you can do that takes some of that weight out, you owe it to yourself to do that.
Love that. Love that. The yoga therapist, y'all, I'm a native Texan. The yoga therapist says, just freaking do it. I love that. I love that. And you know what? When you do, you're going to move beyond the question. Oftentimes I say to nurse entrepreneurs, just decide. Just decide, get off the fence, decide, and stick with it. So I love it, love, love, love it. So Eva, it's such a joy having you here today. I'm going to give you the stage here for the next few minutes, and I would love for you to just share a little bit with our viewers about what's going on in your business, any special offerings that you have, how they can connect with you, all of that kind of thing. So the floor is yours.
Oh, well, thank you so very much for this opportunity. So first, let me explain that whole yoga therapist thing. So that is taking the concept of yoga, the applications of yoga, and utilizing it in your daily life. So it doesn't mean that you have to do the postures, but there's 8 different components to yoga. And so becoming a yoga therapist was a 1,000-hour program. So it was the original yoga teacher training, the advanced yoga teacher training, and then a further training to become a yoga therapist. And that is taking all of the learnings of centuries of yoga and how do we apply it to I want to say the medical model, but it's even more. It's the mind-body connection of a person. How do you take the knowledge that is deep within you, within your body, and encouraging, our bodies are amazing things. They have this homeostasis. We're always trying to go into balance. So how do we take the things that we do every day to help our body do what it does naturally? How do we listen to our body? So if you've ever had that moment where you woke up and you just thought, I don't even have the energy to reach over and shut off my alarm clock. I have been going nonstop for days and days and days, potentially weeks. And you wake up one morning and your body says, enough, you're done. You have sucked at everything that you've been doing. Your decision-making privileges have been revoked and we are shutting down because we need rest. You have experienced your body being completely depleted. And one of the things that I work on with clients is, how do you recognize when that is happening way before that happens? How do you recognize that the week before? How do you recognize that and prevent it
I love
completely?
that.
And it's not hard. It's not having to do crazy movements. It's not having to spend tons of money. It's how do you learn to listen to your own body? How do you make changes in the things that you do? Talking about that nurse that is already dreading their day off because they're feeling that they're going to feel guilty because they know that their unit is running short, and they're
Mhm.
not able to enjoy their day off because they feel guilty because they're not at work.
Exactly.
That work-life balance, that healthy boundary isn't there. So that's where I work with nurses, and being able to recognize what are the things that are going on in your body, your life, and what are the changes that you could make, small daily changes
Mhm.
that help you to be more in control of you, your body, your energy, your time, and showing up fully with your family, your friends, and with your patients. If you've ever been in that situation where you've had a screaming family member in your face,
Yep.
how do you show up in that moment with kindness and compassion, and understanding that that screaming individual may be screaming at you, but they're not, it, it all has to do with the energy of what's going on in their life in that moment, and you're the
Exactly.
person that that's that moment where they feel they have control, and you just happen to be that spot where all of that energy is coming out. But
Yes.
how do you show up in that moment and be kind and compassionate and not take on all of
Mhm.
that, because they
Right.
just basically dump trucked all of their negative energy? How do you not take that on? How do you not take it home? How do you not take it out on your partner, your kids,
Yes.
or the lady in the grocery store that took the last coffee, that you wanted, whatever it is. And that's just recognizing what that is. So I have a program that I am currently a community that I'm currently creating, that is all about stress management, how to recognize the symptoms of burnout and exhaustion, how to combat those symptoms, and how to prevent those symptoms. And then uh, it includes a online course, as
Mhm.
well as weekly movement sessions, a 90-minute evaluation where you and I sit down and we map out what are the things that you want to work on in your life, and what specifically can we do that is your self-care DNA. We go out and we map out what are your self-care habits that are going to help you to be able to bring back that healthy, vibrant, happy, thriving you.
Oh,
And so we
love it.
have that session that's 90 minutes. We lay that out. We create a timeline of habits. And then 30 days later, we go back and we do a reset and a review. And 45 days, we do another reset and a review. And all of that, you have access to me through a map, through a texting app, so that we can have conversations, answer questions periodically. Um, and then I am also creating CEUs that can be added into that course, as well as I'm teaching workshops to yoga teachers and to nurses, on how to implement this in your daily life.
I love it. I love it. And I believe I am looking here. I have a link that so that everybody can get in touch with you, Eva, and connect with you about your programs and services. But I just know that you are going to do great things for nurses in the healthcare community. And I am so inspired by the things that you're doing. So I want to thank you again for taking the time to visit with us today and to share a little bit more about all the good things that you are doing. Any last words before we let you go today?
Oh, if there's one thing that you take away from this session, is take a moment to just pause
Mm.
and breathe.
Oh,
Long exhale, breath.
Always great advice. Great advice. So thank you, Eva, for joining us today. And to all of our viewers, thank you for being here and sitting in on the Nurse Entrepreneur Spotlight. I will see you on the next episode very, very soon. Goodbye for now.